all to a safe place where healing awaits and troubles are erased. Let's sit and conversate about the struggles you face. I had struggles too, so I can relate. On the road to being great, you're gonna make mistakes. But when your voice is heard, there's a clean slate. Keep the faith, don't hesitate, somebody's here to listen. With every conversation, there's a new beginning. New horizons all rising, better days are near. Share your truth, have no fear, let me lend an ear. Lonely days are gone and you're not alone. Healing begins with being heard, so this is your song.
All the tears, you are here and listening to my life, to my story, my pain. Yeah, I'll be brave, overcoming the struggles in my life, and I'll be the one to show you the way. You will hear my story. Hearts are all the same. You will hear my story. Hearts are all the same. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today on Dr. Kyri Listens. I am your host, Dr. Kyri Mosley. First of all, I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to just really spend some time today with our guest, James Baker. James and I are going to be talking about doing the work from the inside out. Today's quote is, Today's quote is, true strength isn't measured by how far you've climbed, but by remembering the valleys that shaped you and extending your hand to those still finding their way. In recovery and success alike, humility keeps us grounded in gratitude for the journey and to open the wisdom that continues to heal us.
Code Ninjas Junior. We make coding fun through storytelling and game building. Learn coding through play. No reading required. Starts at age 5. Book a free session at codeninjas.com. Welcome to Code Ninjas Create. We make coding fun. Your kids can build awesome video games and achieve master coding skills with the help of dedicated code senseis. Create, play, and learn coding. Book a free session at codeninjas.com. Locations throughout Metro Atlanta.
Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? We're going to get started again. I want to really just go over the quote before we bring in our guest, James Baker. Today's quote is, true strength isn't measured by how far you've climbed, but by remembering the valleys that shaped you and extending your hand to those still finding their way. In recovery and success alike, humility keeps us grounded in gratitude for the journey and open to the wisdom that continues to heal us. And this morning, as I was reflecting on the show, I was really just thinking about, it's a simple saying we say, don't forget where you came from, right? Don't forget where you came from. Don't forget your struggles. Don't forget the difficulties that you've encountered. Don't forget the journey that you walked so that you can help others when their time comes. And in that, you'll also continue to help yourself continue to heal. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest. My guest is James Baker Jr. James Baker Jr. is a Red Hook, Brooklyn native. And as you guys know, I'm also from Red Hook, Brooklyn. Born in New York and the spiritual leader and chief encouragement officer of Grace and Truth Leadership. He is also a leadership coach who helps leaders with their call into purpose and the abundant life. Many leaders and audiences know James as an agent for change. He advocates reconciliation and redemption through his writings, counsel, and leadership. He was a spiritual leader of a corporate Bible study group for a Fortune 500 company, and he lectured to the Provincial New York Theological Seminary as an adjunct professor. James passionately believes in education, leads by example. He holds a bachelor's degree in labor relations, human resources, Master of Divinity, and Masters of Religious Education from New York Theological Seminary. James is also a Maxwell leadership coach. Okay, James, the last thing I want to say about it, James is a loving father, loving grandfather, community supporter, and he currently is coming to us from North Carolina. So I just want to say welcome, James. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Kyri. Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Course. So as is customary, our very first question is, James, why did you decide to do the show today?
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know you were going to give me such a difficult question so early. But the reason why I'm here is because of you, Dr. Kyri, because we have mutual family and friends that we know, and you come from my beginnings, Red Hook. So, this is a privilege for me and an honor to be here with you. So this is just a great opportunity.
Thank you. I want to just say hello very quickly to CHH Jams. We have Christine Bowers is watching. Mary Goolsby is also watching. Thank you all for joining us today. We're really grateful. So James, one of the things we do, this is an opportunity for you to share your life. Okay. And so as the title says, Dr. Kyri Listens, I will be spending most of my time listening to you talk about your journey. Okay. And of course, I'll interject. I may have questions here and there, but the floor is yours, James. Where would you like to begin?
Well, if I have the opportunity, I would like to start at the beginning of my journey, and the which began in Red Hook, Brooklyn, and so having come through Red Hook has been very integral to the person that I am today, and my parents. And when I think of coming from Red Hook, I think of some of the greatest influence of my life. They're my mom and my dad and my mom. And in addition, I have a sister. My parents are gone now, but I have an older sister. So that's my foundation. That's the core, my nuclear family. We were a nuclear family in Red Hook. So, but those are, that's where I like to start, right there and growing up. Many of the families there in Red Hook, I lived on I don't know if you're recall, I lived on a block called Poor Block.
Poor Block. You lived across the street from me, literally.
So that was interesting. And, but growing up there, like I said, was foundational for me. If today I like there's a quote that I think of by this guy named Isaac Newton. And he said, if I seen further than others, it's only because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants.
That's right.
And those giants right now, when I think of is, my mom and dad.
How was it living in Red Hook for you? I know for me, I experienced a lot of challenges, but it's also some of my best memories are from Red Hook as well. How was it growing up for you?
So it was a mix. It was a mixed bag of challenges for me growing up as a Black male, during the time I grew up in the 60s, 70s. And so those were, they were good times, but they were very challenging times. Establishing yourself as a young man, is very competitive for men. Drugs and alcohol became part of my journey early in life. I think as recent as the age of 12, 13. So, and also, dealing with school and dealing with friendships and peer relationships. So I was always one that was a leader. The way I was always one who was a leader, and that was something a lot of we laugh about it today with some of those that around because so many are gone, you know. And but we laugh and say, you know, like I was short. How could you be the one? You know, you were shorter than everybody else. And it's just hard to explain, but it's something that was already in me.
Yeah.
And, so I really think, and I think that's a good place to kind of continue to talk about it. Is, you know, you already have everything that's necessary for you inside of you.
That's correct. We all.
I'm talking. That's for you. And especially if we're going to be talking about discovering, who you are from the inside out, doing the hard work from the inside. You already have who you are and what's necessary inside of you. Now that just has to be polished. That just has to be primed. That just has to be refined. You know. And here's the great thing. You are the one who gets to do that. You are the one who gets to do the priming, the polishing. And for me, I realized that I didn't just do that by myself. I did that through life, through the events of life, and many of the hard things that I went through. And like, you know, growing up with the challenges I had, because when I was growing up initially, I was a little chubby. You know, I was a little chubby. Really. And so so people used to go, hey, fat boy, hey, fat boy. And believe it or not, I never liked that. And so that was already establishing some distance between me and people.
That's correct.
People didn't know that they were saying it as affectionately in a lot of times, but it wasn't something that I embraced.
Right. And I get that, you know, growing up, I was always heavyset. I was always the big girl in the class. And, you know, my sister was very, very thin and I was very, very round. And people would say, oh, you guys like the number 10 walking down the street. They don't realize that wasn't funny to me. You know, it's not funny. It's not encouraging. And though, you know, they think it's like a term of endearment. Call you, you know, fatty or fatty waddy. They used to sing a song like fatty waddy walking down the street with skinny mini, you know, so just they had Red Hook, you know, and I think everybody went through that growing up. There's always going to be someone that's subject to what they call, you know, bullying, but they didn't really think of it as bullying because they're thinking that, you know, you were a great leader. I always did what I thought was best, right? And so they think that you're not affected by the name calling. But so I get that. I understand that.
And consequently, through some of those things, and of course, once I got to be a teenager, I was able to take care of that personally. You know, I started doing everything I needed to do. I started working out early in life, you know, and kept myself. And even to this day, I keep myself pretty good, you know. And that all started from there, you know. But it was something that I wanted to do. It was something that I was, like I said, I was very competitive, you know, and with different sports and things like that. So it just instilled in me. So, and that's just one way I think that we can take things that are negative, even as early as that time, and turn it around and do something positive. With it. And that's something that I was able to do. And I've been doing that, you know, turning negatives around all my life. You know, that's been what's happened, you know, and that's why when we think of that, I think we can if trauma is something I think of, and a lot of times we can perceive, and because I do a lot of, you know, I'm a life coach as well, and I do invested a lot of time in the mental health of, you know, trauma a lot of times is often thought of as something that abuse that you've taken, right? But trauma is a little bit more than that too. That's one definition of trauma. But it's something like what happened with someone saying, hey, fat boy, to you. Anything that hits you the wrong way, or something that makes you sad, or something that makes you frightened, you know, all of that is because that's your experience. It's your experience.
And it could be physical trauma, right? It can be physical, like an actual, mental, and people don't realize that.
Exactly. So I just, and with that being said, when we think of trauma, the only way I've discovered that you cannot beat I call it the enemy, or the challenge of trauma by yourself.
No.
You cannot do that because the enemy is too clever. And you talked about in your initial quote, if I heard you right, you talked about this sense of humility.
That's right. That's important.
Yes. So in order to deal with humility, in order to deal with trauma, you're going to need humility, because you're going to have to invite people in your life to help you.
And you're going to have to recognize who you are, right? And you have to be able to identify, or be open to identifying the things that impact you, impact your choices. And sometimes we know some things are traumatic for us.
Yes.
Other times we realize, wait a minute, I ain't like when you said that way, because that brought me back to something else that I've gone through.
That's right.
That humility is key. It's necessary. And one of the things that's most important, something that you said earlier, and just the title of this is just talking about starting from the inside. Because unfortunately, a lot of us try to get through things by external, right? Putting on the lipstick, the hair, putting on the hair, all the things that we're doing to appear to be good. But it really does start from the inside. It really does start with some self evaluation in order to recognize the things we want to work through.
When I think of, again, just thinking of my parents and what they introduced me to, that one of the greatest things that they introduced me to was God.
Amen.
And so coming up, and by the way, this is not to say that my parents were perfect, right? This is not to say that. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear on, I want to make sure we unpack this, because a lot of times, and the reason why I say that is because a lot of times people think one success means that they had everything perfectly set up for them, and
absolutely not.
That is just not that's not reality.
No, it's not.
I've seen people do very well in one parent homes. It depends on you as an individual, and that's one of the things that I've learned growing up. Whether it was from, that's right. I see in there. This is where self-awareness. I see one of the comments coming in there from him. That's where self-awareness is so important in your journey. I spent a lot of time growing up in my formative years by myself. I had friends, but I spent a lot of times in the house with my parents, and that was because I was something different. I felt something different inside. And so I was still trying to discover myself very early, but I still tried to fit in for many years with my social, with my environment. Wrestled with that early on in life, wrestling back and forth until ultimately I had to, take a stand on, I just got to be me. And I learned that very early once I got to high school. But during that time, I had accumulated a few sabotaging behaviors,
let's talk about that.
Drugs and go ahead. So which was like drugs and alcohol. And so that kind of stuff was something that was a part of my journey, even though I was going to school, getting good grades. So I was I wasn't like, well, it doesn't matter. Just the introduction to it, just me using it. It was social recreation. It still had an impact on who I was.
Right. And I want to talk about that. We're going to go to break, but I want us to start thinking about, a lot of times we compare ourselves to, let's say, okay, that person was growing up. That person is a crackhead. So I'm not a crackhead. I just do this and I just do that. But what I want us to talk about is, how did what you do, what you were doing, how did that impact your life, and how did it impact your relationships? Because we don't have to be, a crackhead in order to have drugs or alcohol destroy our relationships. So we're going to go to commercial, and then we're going to come back. I want us to talk about that.
That's right.
This is Dr. Kyri at Dr. Kyri Listens, and I have James Baker here, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Code Ninjas Junior. We make coding fun through storytelling and game building. Learn coding through play. No reading required. Starts at age 5. Book a free session at codeninjas.com. Welcome to Code Ninjas Create. We make coding fun. Your kids can build awesome video games and achieve master coding skills with the help of dedicated code senseis. Create, play, and learn coding. Book a free session at codeninjas.com. Locations throughout Metro Atlanta.
And let's have a moment of clarity. There's freedom in your transparency. When you speak, you release. That's therapy. It's my decision to listen and do it carefully. Wanna live carefree? Well, it's gonna start. When secrets are kept, families are torn apart. I wanna do my part to help heal your heart. Shed some light on your life when your days are dark. Help ignite a spark that'll bring change. Be your shelter from the rain, assist with.
Yo, here we go. Intro for my show. Nice though, hot like nitro. Cool as ice though. With that type of dichotomy, y'all know it's gotta be. Who else could it be but T? Rub your eyes, behold the Tony D. I'm the Dream Supreme DJ straight out of Queens. I'm eclectic, the dopest selected. Emerging music break. Tony D will take, yeah.
Well, Tony, I don't care, long as you take me there, someplace to ease my mind.
This is recording artist Bertrand McKinney, aka Birdie, and you're listening to CHH Jams, where the bars come from the word. Y'all keep it locked.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. This is Orlando Presents right here on CHH Jam Presents. Make sure y'all tune in every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and check out our new show, CHH Jam Presents, right here on the real Level Up. Let's go, y'all. Let's level up, level up. Let's get it. CHH Jam Presents.
Hello, everyone. This is Pat Nash of Pat Nash Talks, where we have the conversations that create real relationships. I'm here every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can find us right here on Level Up Nation. See you then.
Hello, I'm Benita Hunter, owner and maker of Forever Treasures, where I take your sentimental items, your cherished baby clothes, and I turn them into forever keepsakes. We can use uniforms, wedding gowns, baby clothes, or any other sentimental item of a loved one who may have passed on. Now here's where you come in. Go and find your sentimental items, send them to me. I turn them into a forever keepsake, keeping memories alive. I can be reached at bhforevertreasures.com, or you can call me directly at 443-995-9655. Let's make it happen and keep memories alive.
Thank you, Bonita. Keeping memories alive. This is my Brenda beer. She was made in memory of my auntie Brenda Mosley, which you probably know my auntie Brenda too. But yeah, full of life. My goodness, funny as ever. But I encourage you. You take some of the clothing from your people who have passed away, your loved ones, and get a beer made. Yeah, so I love my Brenda beer. But yeah. I was thinking about how you talked about how your parents taught you about God. You're so blessed and fortunate to have had that. I didn't have that growing up, but I love God so much, and I'm grateful. It's through those times that really helped me to come closer to God. I want to say hello to Grace and Kelly, Miss Josephine, Christine again, Barbara, Pat, Mary. Thank you so much. Yes, Mary has a bear. She says she loves her bear too. Man,
I'm gonna have to get that. I'm gonna have to work on that.
I'm telling you, it's just something really special because it's an outfit or something that they wore. Even people do it for their children. They have bears that they make that are the same weight of your child, like up to 7 pounds. They make a bear, like a weighted down bear. So they're fun. And Miss Bonita is great to work with. But James, we were talking about the impact of using substances, alcohol, drugs, and how that impacted your relationships. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah, so clearly that did impact my relationships, because initially when I began using and practicing the use of drugs, it was initially fun. It was the thing that was the thing that was done, all right? Because I think for the most part, when you grow up anywhere, whether you grow up in the projects or in the suburbs, everybody's experienced smoking reefer, having drink, all of that stuff. These they're just sometimes a way of life, However, many of us get caught in the cracks, get caught in the grips of that life, and it becomes something that starts out as fun, but then it's something that you do when fun times is something that you start doing when things are challenging, and you're caught you're in the grips of something that you don't, that is unbeknownst to you. And then you cross the line. So now it's just a part of your life. You just do that, right? And I did that. I'm in my early years of employment, like teenager. When I started working, initially I started working from 14, but I started working a job at 18, and then and I stayed there. But I say all that to say, and then it shaped the way I thought, because and then when I got into corporate America at 18, I dealt with that. I dealt with the challenges that go on for Black men in corporate America, which so we always talk about the guys in the streets and and why they're in the street, but nobody talks about, we talked about the gangs in the street, but nobody talks about the gangs in corporate America.
Oh yeah, that's very real.
About those gangs, and that's why I was exposed to that too. So I understood both sides. I understood what the streets offered, and so here I'm trying to do what they say to do. Go to school at night, doing all this, and then I go here and I meet the gangs in corporate America. I meet the gangs that wear suits now, right? So what I'm saying is that don't want you to be successful. So I experienced that, and that was. Excuse me for being passionate about this, but it really impacted me. Yes, it really impacted me, because anytime when I started facing, racism and discrimination, when I started facing that, I realized that at that time when I would leave there, the thing would affect me so emotionally. That's when I was using just to relieve myself of the stress that I was working under half the time.
And it worked.
That's right. From what I was dealing with from that, and then anything in life that would happen, that would be until
that just became the go-to.
That's right. That became the thing that how people say, yeah, I'm just go drink a glass of wine and and everything is good. Well, guess what? That's not always the case for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
But it's not always good. It's not always good. And growing up, you both, I was surrounded by drugs and alcohol. That's just was the norm. And personally, like I didn't have my first drink till I was 40 years old, because I was so afraid.
Wow.
I was afraid my dad was an alcoholic.
Right.
I didn't want to become that.
Yes.
Prescription drugs became the drug of choice for family members, and so I didn't want to use anything, and so I never did any drugs or alcohol. And sometimes it's hard when you're in that space and you want to talk to your children about not doing this. Oh, mom, you can't relate. You never did this. You never did that. Okay, I never did it personally, but I worked in that field, and so I know the damage that it does to us, as individuals. And if that's something that you use as a coping mechanism growing up as a child, then that's something that is easier for you to use, as you were saying, when you're working. And it's no joke, being in corporate America, being in the hospital setting. I was, I always say, I was the only chocolate chip in the boardroom, right? And we laugh about it. I said I was the only chocolate chip around a whole bunch of sugar cookies, right? And so, and now I own a cookie company, right? So it's just, we laugh about it, but it's the kind of stuff that really eats away at us, because when you have opportunities to grow, that you're qualified to do the job.
Absolutely.
You getting the raise, the promotion is not based on what you know and how well you do your job. It's whether or not someone's going to give you the opportunity and dealing with racism.
Yes, right.
And yes, the bullying is real when
It's
it comes to corporate America.
And it comes there. So, and that's why when we see today, and I'm not, and by the way, I'm not trying to be political. I'm just trying to keep it real. When we see the reason for affirmative action, the reason for DEI was because people like me was not given the same opportunity that others were getting.
Right.
So that's why we brought it on. So now to turn that around and to try to denigrate the whole purpose of that, to me, is a whole nother thing. But we'll do that on another show, all right?
But even with DEI, unfortunately, we as Black Americans are not the ones who are benefiting from that program. That program, you have a lot of Caucasian women.
That's right, exactly.
Other minorities who have benefited, but I don't blame them. No. We have the same chance to go for the job as they did, but just not taking advantage of it. And so statistically, if we were going to use data to determine the effectiveness of DEI, it wouldn't be because of Black people getting jobs. Unfortunately, people think, oh, we're the ones who are benefit from those things, but it's not the truth.
That's right. And that's one of the things that I brought in after the years of challenge in the company that I worked for in corporate America. I was one of the ones who championed DEI in the department I was in, and it was embraced, and really. So again, I want to share with you that my beginning of my career, when you see the end of my career, where, as you said, I was running a Bible study, I was in corporate America, by the way, in the same place that I was, kind of got messed up. Now, this goes to show you when I took responsibility, and that's what I'm doing for my part. And not letting what happened to me define who I was.
That's correct.
You understand what I'm saying? And I had to learn that. I had to learn that. And what I did was, it may have happened to me, but I knew after a while it wasn't just for me.
Right. That's correct.
Wasn't just for me. It was for me to open the door and segue for many of the folks that were like me, that came, didn't get it, that don't understand incarceration, that is money involved in us and brothers being arrested and going to, so they don't understand. So that was my assignment. And Dr. Kyri, the two greatest days of an individual's life, you may have heard it said, this is the day that you're born and the day that you find out. When I found out, when I began to find out, that's when I began to pursue my education. But what was so important? That they rejected me. It was so important that I thought that was the worst thing that could happen.
Surely not.
You're making me get crazy right now. The fact that they rejected me, the fact that they wouldn't allow me the opportunities that it made me, it determined, it helped me.
It fuels you. It fuels you.
And that's what doing the work on the inside is. Sister, excuse me, I feel a little emotional, but that's what doing the work on the inside is all about.
It allows you not to be victim.
That's right.
I've been writing my book, and I was talking to one of my editors. I'm like, look, yes, I've been through some stuff, but I'm not a victim. I'm victorious. I am victorious because I say so. Not waiting for other people to, because you may not get the pat on the back.
That's right.
You may not get the encouraging word. And so if you can't encourage yourself, as the song says, encourage yourself. That's right. You must encourage yourself. That is the only way we can begin to do the work from the inside. You're right. I'm just literally getting ready to say, discovering who you are, right?
That's right.
Discovering who you are, discovering the strength that you possess, the ability to lead and to change the minds of others.
Yes.
Instead of sitting there having a pity party about what has transpired. No, you use those things to help propel you into the future, and use those things to communicate with others. Hey, this is what has happened to me. This is where I've been, but this is where I'm going, right? This is what we've accomplished as a result of those things. And so those things were the things that allowed us to recognize that we're stronger than we thought we were, right?
Because at the time when I was going through the workplace, after getting my life, freed from the abuse of drugs, which all the way back, I can still remember it now from 1989. In 1989, God like delivered me from that part of my life, and then I was able to segue into the next part of my journey. And then, because I believe that when you're doing the work from the inside, right, the first responsibility is to take responsibility.
Come on.
Right?
That's right.
The first responsibility, and it's always, and you was talking about this earlier too, the things that you survived.
Yes.
So the things that you survived, sister, is really so important. What you survived is that's what makes you who you are.
That's correct.
That's right. Now you're developing grit, you're developing resilience,
Yes.
you're developing. That's right. So whatever comes your way, you are able to stand. And that's why God was so integral, because I knew that I could not do that on my own.
No.
But there was something more that I needed. And that's where
there's God in me. And it is the God in you that allows you to get through things and move through things. And it's not about me, because people think, oh, you're so strong. No. And I am so relying on God, because I know that I cannot get through day to day without him. And, my son and I would sit down and talk about, the abuse that I suffered as a child. And, he says, Mom, you wouldn't be the woman you are today.
That's right.
Had not been for that. It allows me to listen and to hear people and not to shut them out, to be present for them. It allows me to love deeply, sincerely. And again, I never use those things as barriers. We don't use those things. We don't use those things to stop us from propelling forward. We use those things to motivate us, because it's like once you get through one thing, a lot of other things come in life. It's not the only thing, it's like this is just the first thing that you were able to move through. Yeah. And when you recognize that it is really God allowing you, allowing you to get through it, and allowing you to use your life as a testimony to others, that you could do it too. It's not something so amazing about James or Kyri.
That's right.
But it is something so amazing about God, and how he'll use our weakness. He'll use our failures, our disappointments, and allow those to really elevate us through life.
Through life. It's so important. And I like that you said about your son and how you guys talk about it, because, him knowing about that, you're giving him a blueprint for life.
Yes. Yeah.
He's getting a blueprint for life for you to see how to do that. And that was why, just so you know, one of the reasons why I even began to write the book. I wrote the book called Self-Care from There. This is because it all stemmed from when I was coming. These were things, because what I realized was that I never really knew how to do that. I always knew how to try to fit in. I knew how to do this. I knew how to feel sorry for myself when the world is against me. All this stuff. I knew how to do that, but when I started learning, as I said, the first response is taking response. When I took responsibility for me,
that's right.
As MC Hammer would say, you can't touch this.
What?
Now listen. Now, by the way, you talking about, it's not about being strong. In fact, when we are connected with God, it's actually about being weak.
Yes, it's about that vulnerability.
Because His strength, is made perfect in our time.
In our weaknesses. The scripture speaks.
It's only Him that makes us strong. And that's what allows us to go against the many challenges that we face in life. And that's my story.
Yeah.
That's my story. That's my song. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
So doing that kind of the work on the inside is really discovering that many times you don't have to fear. This is what it is. Can I give you a couple examples of that?
Yes, you can.
It's you don't have to fear being alone. Alone time. You don't have to fear it. You don't have to dwell on the past.
That's right.
You don't have to dwell on the past. You don't have to feel the world owes you anything.
That's right, because it doesn't.
That's right. You can make your own way.
That's right.
When you do the work on the inside, guess what? When you do the work on it, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you when you do the work on it. This is how it's shaped You know, my mindset, the scripture saying, I'm not trying to be too deep, but the scripture says in Proverbs 23:7, it says, as a man think in his heart,
so shall he be.
So when I began to change the way I think about a thing, you know what I'm saying? When you change the way you think about it, the things you think about change. When you change the way you think about it, the things you think about change. So now, you know, I began to do that. I don't waste time feeling sorry for myself when you do the work on the inside. You know, I understand that life happens to us all. You know, all of us. Sister Kyri, you know, I did pastoring for 5 years. In fact, still referred to me as, and it's all good. But I've understood by going through all of these things. We talked about surviving, right? Yeah. Now let's talk the success that I had. Went to school, right, and began to get 3 different degrees, got certified, all this, and all of that wasn't because I was trying to impress. All of that was because of what it was doing to me on the inside. Exactly. What it was doing to me on the inside. And I knew that if I was going to be in front of folks, right, this is just me, I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was talking about. I wasn't going to be somebody that was just up there winging it and trying to. I knew that my assignment, remember I said when the 2 greatest days of your life, when you find out when you're born and the day you find out why. Found out why. You know, I found out why, and then I began to that ignited me. That ignited,
like nothing else can.
Nothing else. And then, so the work that you do, the work that I do, you know, the reason why you got to do the work on the inside, because it leaves you vulnerable. It leaves you vulnerable to, listen, this is the side that people don't want to talk about. So people exploiting your kindness and your willingness
to your weakness.
Oh my God. So this leaves you vulnerable for people in, by the way, your family, your friends, your client. It don't matter where it comes from.
It's
so
coming.
The reason why you have to do the work on the inside is so you can withstand that. Yeah. So because that helps. I didn't say that it makes it feel better, but you're able to. It helps you to be anchored with yourself. Your foundation is is solid, and you need to have the right people in your circle.
And it gives you discernment, James. It gives you a discernment that is something people don't understand. Maybe just because I don't call you on what you're doing doesn't mean I don't know what you're doing, right? And so I think that's really the thing people don't realize. Like when you go through a lot of stuff in life, God gives you a special kind of discernment to see it before it happens. And so you can start to prepare for those days that are difficult and that disappointment.
That's right.
When people violate, right? And
it happens. It's a by the way, it comes with the territory.
It does.
So I speak. So I've learned the ability to reinvent myself. So I did that piece in it. I did the pastor. So I didn't just say, I'm going to be pastor forever. I continue to understand the need to reinvent myself and
repurpose your skill set
from one thing to the other. But all the stuff was giving me, survival, right? I learned the survival. I got the success. But guess what? Here's the last one I want to say. It all led me to a place called significance. And significance is where we are able to help others. This is where, because it don't make no
sense. That's what we're saying. Your stuff wasn't for you, right? It's not just for you. And it takes that humility to understand, yes, I've got to be significant enough to help someone else.
Significance is where you're able to use the value that you acquired through good days, bad days, and different to be able to share that with you. And I've always had a heart for that. And by the way, to my detriment in many cases. But guess what? It's who I am. Right. And so when you know who you are, right? And when you know whose you are, guess what? You always, cream always rises.
Right. Always to the top.
I promise you. I'm a living witness. I'm a living witness of that. Sister Kyri, doctor, when we think about inside out work, right? The reason why I know that it's inside is because in 1 Samuel, right, 16:7, it says, and God chose a man
That's right.
That was after his own heart. Now listen, he told Samuel, he told the guy he said, don't look at the outward appearance.
That's right.
He said, I don't see things like man does. He said, but look, he said, I look at the inside.
Word. Yep.
Well, that's why that's my premise for the reason why we gotta do the inside work. We gotta do the inside work because that's where God is shaping us.
Right. And you can look great. You can look
right.
but not have the inside, not
time.
have done the work, not have gone through the trials, not have been able to redirect someone, because you have nothing on the inside that is able to help to bring forth something new. One thing I want to ask Angela, or my producers, if you can bring up Barbara's comment. Barbara made a comment earlier and it was for you, and I want to make sure we read it.
Okay.
She says, Pastor James, I read your book, Doing the Work from the Inside Out. It was an excellent book. It was encouraging. It was uplifting. Yes, God truly uses people for his glory. And that's the truth. That's the truth. It's like he's just going to use you if you allow yourself to be used.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If we're willing participants.
Yeah.
He will allow the things that were the worst.
You will be hurt along the way. I want to make sure when we think of healing, I want to say this too about healing. Healing is a lifelong journey. It's not like you reach a place and you're healed. When you heal, just want to say this for somebody that may not be aware, as you're healing emotionally, whichever, mentally, spiritually, you can be healing and still at times cry. You can be healing and still be sad. You can be healing and have misunderstanding. Things cannot. Healing doesn't mean that everything is over. Like you got nothing but happiness and you're healed and that ain't going to be not on this side. But healing, part of the healing journey is understanding that you still will be dealing with your hurt, but at least you're willing to do what it takes to help yourself. That's what the inside work means to me. Investing in you.
That's correct.
Investing. Yes, I'm sorry.
James, I think it's just also understanding. Like I tell people all the time, like, oh, we go to counseling. I go to counseling, then I'm going to be healed. I said, surely not.
Yeah,
surely not. I don't want you to think there's an ED. There's an ING. You are always healing. You're always healing.
It's ongoing.
And it's an ongoing process. That's correct. It's an ongoing process. Something literally from childhood came up into my life about 30 days ago. I could not believe the pain that I experienced in that moment, something that I thought was gone. I'm like, come on now, it's been over 45 years. But the pain,
you understand? So
it was like going through all, yes.
And it happens to me today too. I mean, there's things that have happened. I'm like, why are you thinking about that right now? Because it did something to me. That's
right.
Yeah. And guess what? And that's okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. I think we just respond differently, we move differently, but we certainly, and I want everybody to know that it's okay if it still hurts.
That's right.
I want to show everybody your social media, because I know that we have come to an end, and I'm going to have you back. I'm going to have you back on the show.
All right. Don't worry.
Please, guys, if you could follow James Baker Jr. at IG. Also, his website is Grace and Truth Leadership. On LinkedIn, you can also find James Baker Jr. So please, here's his website, graceandtruthleadership.org. I have had an amazing time with you. I'm so sad that it's over. I am, but you have done an amazing, amazing job, and I'm so grateful for your vulnerability. Thank you for taking the time away from your schedule. Yes, Mary, it will be a part 2.
Absolutely.
Sooner than later.
Okay.
Anything I would like you to do to give
from Red Hook. You from Red Hook. Whatever you say, you my queen sister from Red Hook. So whatever you say, I'm there.
What are some closing words? I want you to say if you had something that you would like to share with the audience, and then we're gonna unfortunately end our segment.
Yeah, I would like to just say if thank you first of all to your amazing executive team, Sister Angee, Sister Grace. Wow, they were so nice to meet. I just want to say, and thank you too, just for this opportunity. But also, I just want to say that life happens to us all. I think that's really important. I've gone through, divorce. I've gone through many things that have really, made me want to give up. In terms of not on life, but just give up on what I'm doing.
Yes,
and, the leadership things that I do. And so one of the things that I'd like to say is that I'm so glad that I didn't, because that's emotional for me, because I know that I really felt like I ain't doing this no more. Who cares? And a lot of times when you're doing things that matter, you're not going to always be applauded. You're not going to always, if you're on social media, you're not going to get the likes. You can write a book like mine. People will buy the person who already got millions of books. I mean, so many things.
Can you tell people where they can find your book?
Yeah, you can get it. My book is on Amazon. It's on my website, which you have there. Wherever you want to get it, it's all good. But what I'm saying is, you have to learn how to, whoever I'm talking to, you have to learn how to champion and be your best friend. That's correct. What I learned. And love yourself.
Amen. That's the key. That's first.
That's the right. It says, for what are the two greatest commandments? Listen to this. It says to love the Lord your God with all your heart,
mind, and strength. Yep.
Think about that. That's mental, that's emotional, and that's spiritual. Three, right? Holistically, right? And then it says to love your neighbor. Check this out. As you love yourself. So in other words, if you don't love yourself,
you will
not be able to love. And by the way, your neighbor could be your wife. Your neighbor could be your children, whoever it is that's from you. You will not do it. So that's what I would like to learn. And that's one of the greatest lessons that I've learned. That's one of the greatest lessons. And I haven't always done that. And I don't always do that as well as I would like to be honest with you.
And that's all of us.
Doing better. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. Thank you.
Thank you, Fate. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. I am Dr. Kyri Mosley, and I will see you next week, where our guest will be Kimberly Walker, as she talks about being a twinless twin.
Wow.
I'll see you then.
Make the beat slap. He send over the track so I can speak facts. Opposition pushing up, they need to ease back. You ain't talking about the gospel, you can keep that. Believe that. My heart is where the streets at. Over beats to his pieces where I preach at. 1 million souls, I'm trying to reach that. I grab the microphone and then I react. Never sold my soul's intact. Trying to change your brain, mental impact. Nah, the this world Satan been whacked. The devil is a lie, dude, been capped. I let my light shine, the world been black. Taking back the music, dude, getting jacked. Hooked on the Lord, my spirit on crack. Gotta move forward, ain't no turning back. Microphone check, talking 1 2. You know how we do when we come through. I represent the Father and the Son too. Roll with the Holy Ghost, what you won't do. You ain't rocking with God, then you gotta. You ain't rolling with the Lord, then you gotta. On demon time, then you gotta. You ain't a friend of mine, so you gotta. Sometimes I ask myself, what are people doing? What God do they serve and who are they pursuing? Instead of righteousness, they chose the path to ruin. You wanna see the Father, here's the way to him. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. We couldn't pay the debt, he had to pay the price. Gave his life a sacrifice just to make it right. The burden was heavy, he couldn't take it light. The battle's not ours, he had to take the fight. Showed up in the scene, demons were taking flight. Don't believe in the Father, then you can take a hike. Prayer changes things, what you praying like? If he gave a mic to help save a life. Telling non-believers about the way of Christ. His mercy and grace will always suffice. Represent the winning team all day and night. Microphone check, talking 1 2. You know how we do when we come through. I represent the Father and the Son too. Roll with the Holy Ghost, what you won't do. You ain't rocking with God, then you gotta. Let's have a moment of clarity. There's freedom in your transparency. When you speak, you release, that's therapy. It's my decision to listen and do it carefully. Wanna live carefree? Well, it's gonna start. When secrets are kept, families are torn apart. I wanna do my part to help heal your heart. Shed some light on your life when your days are dark. Help ignite a spark that'll bring change. Be your shelter from the rain, assist with the pain. Lonely days are gone and you're not alone. Healing begins with being heard, so this is your song.
All the tears you are hearing, listening to my life, to my story, my pain. Yeah, I'll be brave, overcoming the struggles in my life, and I'll be the one to show you the way. You will hear my story. Hearts are all the same. Hearts are all the same. All the same.
They said it was wrong to promote me, that I wasn't ready, that I would fail.
Those who have betrayed me must pay.
You're the first black agent. Don't be the last.
Revenge is all I have left.
The CIA cannot get involved, so you're on your own.
Aren't we all?
I'm a man who gets what he wants.
Just get me the money. You have 24 hours.
Yo, here we go. Intro for my show. Nice though, hot like nitro. Cool as ice though. With that type of dichotomy, y'all know it's gotta be. Who else could it be but D? Rub your eyes, behold the Tony D. I'm the Dream Supreme DJ straight out of Queens. I'm eclectic, the dope is selected. Emerging music break, Tony D will take, yeah.
Well, Tony, I don't care, long as you take me there, someplace to ease my mind.
This is recording artist Bertrand McKinney, aka Birdie, and you're listening to CHH Jams, where the bars come from the word. Y'all keep it locked.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. This is Orlando Presents right here on CHH Jam Presents. Make sure y'all tune in every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and check out our new show, CHH Jam Presents, right here on the real Level Up. Let's go, y'all. Let's level up, level up. Let's get it. CHH Jam Presents.
Hello, everyone. This is Pat Nash of Pat Nash Talks, where we have the conversations that create real relationships. I'm here every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can find us right here on Level Up Nation. See you then.
And let's have a moment of clarity. There's freedom in your transparency. When you speak, you release, that's therapy. It's my decision to listen and do it carefully. Wanna live carefree? Well, it's gonna start. When secrets are kept, families are torn apart. I wanna do my part to help heal your heart. Shed some light on your life when your days are dark. Help ignite a spark that'll bring change. Be your shelter from the rain, assist with